Hi, I'm Andy Miocha and you're watching A News. Here are the headlines. One person dead and 3 injured in a cargo plane crash in Lithuania. Far-right and center-right candidates to battle in the second round of the Romanian presidential election. At least 5 dead in the aftermath of Storm Bert that hit the UK. A large cargo plane crashed early in the morning whilst landing at Vilnius airport in Lithuania. It hit a house, resulting in the death of 1 person on board.
The plane, operated by Swiftair on behalf of DHL, had taken off from Leipzig, Germany. Authorities reported that 1 person lost their life and 3 others were injured. Police and prosecutors are investigating the incident, but they stated that there is no information to suggest that an explosion preceded the crash. Emergency services reported that the plane hit the ground, broke into pieces, and slid over 100 meters before crashing into a building. Police said that 12 people were evacuated from the house and no one on the ground was harmed. Firefighters sprayed water onto the smoking building after the crash, and nearby streets were cordoned off. DHL and Boeing have not yet commented.
A Sukhoi Superjet 100 operated by Azimut Airlines caught fire after landing at Antalya Airport in Turkey. Emergency crews quickly evacuated 89 passengers and 6 crew members with no injuries reported. The incident occurred on Sunday evening as the plane arrived from Sochi. Emergency teams responded promptly, extinguishing the fire and deploying inflatable slides for evacuation. Landings were suspended temporarily, resuming after the aircraft was removed from the runway. The Turkish Transport Ministry confirmed the fire originated in the plane's engine. Investigations are underway to determine the cause of the blaze. Romania's presidential election moved to a second round after a closely contested first vote. Villages like Izvorani, where far-right and center-right candidates compete, reveal a mix of hope for change and skepticism about political promises.
With nearly all votes counted, a hard-right candidate and a center-right contender are set to compete in the December 8 runoff. Cătălin Gorescu, previously aligned with the Hard-Right Alliance for Uniting Romanians, has drawn support from voters in villages like Izvorani, 35 kilometers north of Bucharest, where economic and infrastructure concerns dominate.
I am happy that Gorescu is honest, is facing reality, and I wish him good luck.
Residents of Izvorani expressed mixed feelings about the potential for change, highlighting the divide in voter expectations.
I think that nothing will change. We hope for something new, at least to have running water and sewers in our village. We hope at least to have somewhere to park our cars. I don't know if something like this will happen.
Romania's next president will face critical decisions, from managing NATO commitments to addressing fiscal challenges on the growing international and domestic pressures. The final result, influenced heavily by diaspora votes, will determine whether Romania maintains its pro-Ukraine stance or takes a new direction.
Storm Bert wreaked havoc across the UK over the weekend, bringing a dangerous mix of severe flooding, heavy snow and strong winds. The storm caused significant damage to homes, disrupted transportation networks, and claimed at least 5 lives.
In Wales, homes and streets were flooded in Pontypridd, and residents used buckets to clear water. Firefighters worked tirelessly to pump water from a major road and back into the local river to enable the reopening of transportation links. Emergency workers rescued a stranded dog, whilst local resident Victor evacuated with his partner and their pet cat after moving valuables to the upper floor of their home.
Yeah, it's not something you ever think it'll happen to you. You see on news, it happens in Spain, globally, and then it happens to you, and it's like, oh, right, well, how do we handle it? And it's just, some of them having a cuppa, some like me panicking, going away. It's just, everyone's got their own ways.
The storm caused power outages for at least 60,000 homes, businesses and farms, along with causing disruptions to flights, roads and railways. A man in his 60s died when a tree fell on his car on the A34 highway in southern England.
We work closely with the Environmental Agency and we also monitor river levels at the monitoring stations. So at the moment the river levels are going down, which is positive. This will enable us to then pump the water, as you can see, back into the river system.
Experts from the Meteorological Office called the storm a multi-hazard event as it brought snow, heavy rain and strong winds. Recovery efforts are underway as residents hope for calmer weather ahead.
A fierce political battle is unfolding over in Poland as the presidential race begins. The Nationalist Law and Justice Party and the pro-European Civic Coalition have named their candidates.
In Warsaw, the Nationalist Law and Justice Party has announced historian Karol Nawrocki as its candidate. At just 41, Nawrocki is a key figure in promoting the party's patriotic agenda. A pro-European coalition headed by Prime Minister Donald Tusk defeated the right-wing PIS party in a parliamentary election last year. Nawrocki hopes to retain the presidency after losing control of parliament.
Chcę zostać waszym prezydentem, bo wiem I rozumiem.
I want to become your president because I know and understand that for Poland to be able to exist, it must be great. We must defend Poland. We must defend our values. We must not allow our symbols to be taken away and our sovereignty to be limited. I want to become your president because I have worked hard all my life, and I'm working hard, like you, dear Poles. Work hard. You must have a president who will also work hard for you.
Który też będzie dla was ciężko pracował.
Prezydenckich został prezydent Rafał Trzaskowski.
He'll face off against progressive Warsaw Mayor Rafał Trzaskowski, representing the pro-European coalition led by Tusk. He's confident that the Civic Coalition will gain momentum from the primaries, ready to take on PIS in the upcoming presidential race.
I'm convinced that we will emerge from these primaries strengthened, and I have a very strong mandate and a lot of energy, determination and courage to win against law and justice.
The choice between nationalist and progressive visions will also shape Poland's place on the European stage. With the European Union watching closely, this election could decide if Tusk's government can reverse PIS's judicial reforms. These reforms have been widely criticised for undermining democratic principles. The first round of the election will take place at an unspecified date in May, while the likely runoff vote will be in May or June.
Delegates from 175 countries convened in Busan, South Korea for the fifth round of United Nations talks on a global treaty to combat plastic pollution. The Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee aims to draft a legally binding global deal. Despite hopes, significant divisions still remain, raising doubts about achieving a final agreement.
Globally, we produce 350 million metric tons of plastic waste per year. That's according to figures from Statista. The Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee are meeting in South Korea to develop an international legally binding instrument to reduce plastic pollution. The accord is expected to be the most significant environmental pact since the 2015 Paris Agreement on climate change. This agreement will be the first ever global plastics treaty.
The heads of state of the G20 met in Brazil. They have actually, part of the text, the summit declaration, says that these 20 countries are expecting that the International Negotiation Committee on Plastic will land the agreement this final round of talks, which is talk number 5 in Busan.
The event venue in Busan reflects sustainability principles, featuring water dispensers and reusable cups instead of single-use plastics, while some experts like Greenpeace advocate slashing plastic production. Countries such as Saudi Arabia and China favour focusing on waste management.
As the world gathers for this critical phase of the global plastics treaty negotiations, Greenpeace reminds governments that the eyes of the world are on you. The decisions made here will determine whether we confront the plastics crisis with the ambition it demands or allow the fossil fuel and petrochemical interests to derail progress. The science is clear. Without urgent action, plastic production will triple by 2050, further fueling the climate crisis, polluting ecosystems, and endangering human health. A weak treaty is a failed treaty.
Ahead of Monday's talks, about 500 activists formed a human sign on the beach on Sunday. They marched with anti-plastic slogans showcasing artworks made from plastic waste. They emphasised the need to reduce plastic production, particularly in South Korea, which produces nearly 20 million metric tonnes of plastic each year.
Residents in India's capital, New Delhi, complained of breathing issues today as the air in the city reached excessively high levels of pollution. The air quality was recorded at 688 on the Air Quality Index, placing it in the hazardous category.
Smog, dense and filled with hazardous chemicals. India's capital, New Delhi, is experiencing high levels of air pollution. This comes as cold air traps dust, smoke and emissions, causing dense layers of smog to form and reduce visibility. Residents are beginning to experience ill effects of constantly inhaling the pollution.
When we go for morning walks in our village, we can feel the positivity of breathing clean, fresh air and know that we are doing something good for our health. But in New Delhi, pollution has become the biggest issue and my eyes are burning. I have congestion and a sore throat.
Residents blame Indian farmers for the poor air quality. These farmers burn crop residual stubble between planting seasons to prepare the land. Air pollution is reducing life expectancy and quality in New Delhi, and the issue has reached epidemic proportions. All recognise the extent of the problem, but with a population of nearly 34 million, according to World Population Review, combative measures will be hard to implement.
Over in Turkey, restoration work is underway on an approximately 2,000-year-old covered walkway structure in the ancient city of Amastris.
The city of Amastris in northern Turkey gained importance in the 9th century as a port for communication across the Black Sea and as a military base. Magnificent structures and artifacts have been discovered during excavations which began 2 years ago by the Bartin University. A Roman-era stone structure, meaning a covered walkway featuring marble columns reaching up to 9 meters high, was identified. Blocks, ceiling coffers and architectural fragments belonging to the structure are being unearthed by Professor Fatma Baghdati Cham.
We've completed works to raise 3 columns. During this process, we based our work on 3 areas located in the eastern part of the structure, and the architectural fragments here were placed in a display area. This gave us a visual idea of what the structure would look like once restored. The monumental nature of the structure became evident with the raised columns. The restoration project will continue next year with a full exposure of the site and the structure.
She says the structure is the most monumental marble structure in the Black Sea region and that it reflects the grandeur of the ancient city.
That's all we have for now. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.